Editing a video and solving a Rubik's Cube have one very important thing in common. Let me explain. I moved away from my hometown in 4th grade, and as you can imagine, that was pretty tough. But then I had to do something even tougher. I had to move back to my hometown in 7th grade, middle school, making new friends, and one of my first friends was a guy on the bus who could solve a Rubik's Cube. And so of course I asked him if he would teach me how to solve it, and to my surprise he said of course. And it's not about being a genius, it's all about learning the moves and algorithms. That's how you solve a Rubik's Cube. Which in simplest terms just meant that if you wanted to solve a Rubik's Cube from its scrambled form, you were just doing a series of sequences of moves that had a certain set of steps so that you would go from one phase to the next, creating patterns and ultimately arriving at the solved state, a sequence of moves to get it to the finish line. And what I find to be the most interesting about this entire concept is that all of the mathematicians of the world have studied and analyzed and run all the numbers on the most efficient ways to take scrambled versions of this to different versions through these algorithms and moves by doing the least amount of moves. Which again, as a dorky kid in 7th grade who's just trying to make friends, of course I wanted to learn the fastest set of moves to solve the Rubik's Cube, the fastest to impress the most people. And to me, this is just like editing. If I can do a series of moves or use different tools to cut down footage faster and get the same result, of course I want to use those tools. Obviously. And thus enters the point that I'm trying to make with this video, which in the simplest sense is that Final Cut Pro is faster at editing clips than DaVinci Resolve because it takes fewer moves. So of course, let's look at an example. To begin, we're in Final Cut, and here is a clip that I am going to chop down into a video. Naturally, as an editor or YouTube editor, the first and most important job is to cut out the dead space where I'm not talking. This is a fundamental algorithm in terms of heading towards a finished video. Final Cut Pro has this thing called a skimming playhead, or I call it the secondary playhead. And again, we'll talk more about this later, but you're going to quickly see why this one little tool saves so much time and moves when editing in Final Cut. And let's show those moves now. So say I want to cut out the dead space. I'm going to move my mouse to where the audio stops here on the clip. That is one move. I'm then going to do my second move and use my blade hotkey to make a cut right there at the end of the audio. Move number 2. I'm then going to move the playhead to the start of the next audio section. Move number 3. And then I'm going to use another hotkey, move number 4, called trim start, to cut the dead space out. It's a ripple delete type move. So as we were counting, there were 4 moves. Now let's open up DaVinci Resolve and compare the count. This is the exact same clip, the exact same footage. We are going to do the exact same thing and cut out the space. You'll notice immediately there is no secondary playhead in DaVinci Resolve. There's no skimming playhead following my mouse. Therefore, move number 1 is to go up and select the playhead. Move number 2 is to then move that playhead to where I want to make the cut. Move number 3 is to use my blade hotkey to make the cut. Move number 4 is to select that playhead again. Move number 5 is to move that playhead to where I need it to go. And move number 6 is to do a trim start hotkey to ripple delete out the dead space. We can all count, it's obvious. It took 6 moves to do the exact same thing that I can do in Final Cut Pro in 4. And I know what you're thinking, Jake, 6 versus 4, come on, that doesn't really matter, like whatever. No, it does. It absolutely matters. When you are editing, every second, every decision, every move counts. and I will die on that hill. Those 2 additional moves add up exponentially as you start making hundreds and hundreds of cuts. It's not insignificant. And I hope you guys kind of think I'm the crazy editing dad who's nerding out over this stuff, because this is what my brain thinks about. What I obsess over, just how can I get Resolve to be as efficient as Final Cut. And I have not come up with a way within the limitations of the game of DaVinci Resolve to do that exact same sequence of moves in less moves than I can do it in Final Cut Pro. So yes, objectively speaking, Final Cut Pro is faster than DaVinci Resolve for cutting down footage. And I will make this final point. Blackmagic Design, DaVinci Resolve team, if you added a skimming playhead just like Final Cut Pro that could be toggled just like Final Cut Pro, you could absolutely get the same number of moves for cutting down A-roll as you have in Final Cut. I don't see why this feature couldn't be added, and it seems so small, but I promise it is something that would make editing in DaVinci Resolve infinitely better, and I would just, I would sing your praises. We need this feature, team. How do we get it? But guys, I've made my point. Thank you to our members who support this channel. You are the best. Stay dorky, my beautiful humans, and I will see you in the next one because I need to get back to editing. Thanks, guys.